Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Michael, Gier, Alex. We're here to talk about the latest stuff going on at Leeds and the club. We're here to. I'm getting some bounce back from one of you guys.
I think it's me. Got it. It's me. Sorry, apologies.
No worries. We were talking about fantasy for a second, but I wanted to touch on Michael. First, this is just random thought that I had. The snow melt up there in Toronto?
Yeah, but we're getting more.
Yeah, we're getting some. It's supposed to be tonight, maybe tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it hasn't fully melted. Like all the piles from where we've shoveled it are still. They're shrunk down a lot, but they're still there.
You guys were getting hammered.
But yeah, we got some today, just a little bit. But we're big ones coming through from Colorado, so it might swing your way as well.
Massive snow piles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were getting the worst of it. It looked like upstate New York. Gier, raining sideways in Ireland.
It's actually quite nice here. One of the girls that I work with in our team lives in Texas, and we were 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than Texas. Now I don't know if that means Texas was really, really cold, or we were. But it's about 48 degrees Fahrenheit here right now, and it's pretty late, so it's not bad.
Oh, that's nice. That's not too bad.
Nice day.
That's light jacket for me.
I think it's almost t-shirt weather for Irish people. Another couple of degrees up, and we're all in shorts and socks, mate.
Well, good. Let's get stuck in. And what do we think about the process now that it's finally, the saga is finally over and someone's been appointed? What do we think about that? Gier dropped his head, so let's go with Michael first.
Well, there's two sort of English idioms that come to mind. One is, I guess, better late than never, and the other one is that that you hope it's that it's not too little, too late. So those are the two things that come to mind with me. So better late than never. Yeah, I mean it's a little bit ridiculous to me that we ended up with this appointment, which is the appointment we probably could have had, maybe should have had, I don't know, all along. Back to when this first happened, rather than this ridiculous goose chase that we've been on. For all these managers who are simply not available. You would think that someone who is organized and doing their job properly would have known that or figured it out very quickly. The amount of mind changing that's going on, like I'm surprised that that all of the board of directors at Leeds aren't in the hospital with whiplash, given the quick turnarounds that they've made on all these decisions. It's just none of it is a sign of a well-run football club. I was listening to the Square Ball, I think it was this morning, and so Moscow was making a point about how maybe these guys making reaction decisions rather than plan decisions is a good thing, and I kind of laughed about that. I mean, I don't think that's correct, but I did think there's something to that, in the sense that a lot of the decisions that they have planned have been really, really poor. And I don't know if Marcelo was a plan or a reaction. I mean, obviously they put a lot into it. So I would say maybe it was a reaction that turned into a plan, and maybe that's the key. And maybe that's what the key with this one will be as well, is that it was it's born out of crisis, but it turns into a plan. And maybe they think it through and actually put the time and effort into it that it needs. But to this point, man, it's just, I'm sorry to say, it's just been a shit show.
Gier, what do you think?
I dropped my head because you said the process, and that instantly triggered me. what process?
I'm being gentle. Yeah, I don't know.
You're very helpful. You're very nice to them. You must be on Rad's payroll as well, are you? Are you getting fed?
I'm a PR man during the day, so
Rad's new hype man. He's gonna need a few after the last couple of weeks. The process. It's just been a disaster. I'll take Michael's analogy and I'll take it one step further. I would go with saying I'm surprised the board don't all have third-degree burns from the amount of firefighting they've had to do in the last week. It's a really lazy analogy. Sorry, Michael, I just pinched yours.
We might guess.
It's what's he available? 3 or 4 weeks the manager's been available. Apparently they spoke to him the night before they fired Jesse. This is the latest rumor to be touted out from Radrazani Towers. Apparently they spoke to him, then decided that we'll get Areola. That didn't happen. I mean, I'm gonna back up. So again, I watched the Square Ball tonight and I thought it was very good. And I like Moscow. I think Moscow talks an awful lot of sense. I like the detail that he goes through and stuff. And what he said about
he's seen a lot. He looks like he's seen a lot.
He's seen a lot and written a lot. But outside of the panic kind of stuff, it was just having a manager come in who knows he's not even the fourth choice, and possibly wasn't even the second choice this week. And agrees to take it on a flexible contract, whatever that is, and whatever that means, says an awful lot about the character of the man, I think. And Moscow said he must be the nicest guy on the planet, and I've got to agree with him, I think. Or he really backs himself and he knows he can get a tune out of this team. That's the other side to it. He looks at the situation and goes, yeah, this is not a bad side. I saw some of the reviews. Max on Leeds lately did a lovely breakdown of tactics from Garcia. And what I liked about it was, and what I thought about the whole thing was, this is a better side than he had at Watford in terms of the midfield pairings. I know they did Decore and Capoue, but Capoue was a failed player at Spurs, or had gone on to be a failed player at Spurs. So the ceiling wasn't very high there. I think that the ceiling is potentially higher. And Garcia kind of fits into that bracket of, we said last time we spoke, those kind of middling managers that you're not really overly excited about, but you're not really disappointed with either. It's kind of a meh, yeah, it's fine. That's fine. I like what I've heard about the guy. I've watched a lot of videos today. My partner is away with work tonight, so I've been able to just watch YouTube videos all evening and catch up on stuff and look into things. And anybody who's worked with him doesn't seem to have a bad word to say about him, even though he seems to be quite a stern manager. He seems to be an OBS style of manager. So I think from that point of view, we've got the right guy for the squad we've got right now, because I think some of the players are probably getting a little bit too big for their boots. This leadership panel that Jesse put in, his boys club, his best mates, his backslapping club, needs to go rapidly, because seeing the Everton game and watching Bamford talking to people and telling people what to do and going over the sideline and focus on your football, forget about coaching. You're not a coach, you're a football player. Go play football until you can't play anymore, then coach. So I think from that perspective, it's possibly the right guy right now. Time will tell, but I think the process has been an absolute disaster. I think the board will come out of this looking bad. I've seen people saying, get your scarves out the weekend and welcome the new manager. Victor Orta can't be forgotten about in this. He just can't. He can't keep getting away with this. He got a 3-year buy because of Bielsa. He was bulletproof for those 3 years, and he can't keep getting away with the antics. I've seen people saying that he reacts an awful lot to what's thrown at him. I'm like, but he's a director of football. He knows the deal. He knows what goes on in football. He knows what he signed up to. He was a director of football before Leeds. So take it, be professional, do what Angus Kinnear does. And Angus Kinnear gets dogs abuse, and I've directed some stuff down being gaslighting people. He sits there and he takes it. He doesn't react to it. So when you've got somebody like Victor in the mix, I think it can go one of two ways. His history will say that he gets 1 out of every 3 or 4 or 5 right. Let's hope for our sake that this is the right one. And yeah, the Watford fans do speak highly of him. So fingers crossed, that's what we need.
I go back and forth. Victor Radrazani, who's more
culpable,
to blame. Yeah. And it's like, is Victor's hands tied with because Radrazani is off the rails? I don't know. Phil Hay came out with the article and said that he did a presentation in front of the board. Javi did. And the 49ers were involved in that as well, that presentation. I don't know. Where do you see, Michael? Where are you more leaning toward, Radrazani or Victor Orta?
Well, I mean, one employs the other, right? So, I mean, for me, the buck always stops at the top, right? So Radrazani has decided to employ Victor Orta for this long. If Victor's not getting the job done, then Rads has a job to do, doesn't he? And if he's not going to do that, then that's his problem. Unfortunately, it impacts all of us. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I think that Victor's time has run its course. We've seen this before. This is what the Middlesbrough people say about him as well. Not to say that he's done a terrible job all along. Some of his recruitment has been great. Some of it has been terrible. You take the rough with the smooth a lot of times with this. And, Wilco said that, maybe if you get half a year transfers to actually work, then you're doing pretty well. And maybe we've been around that point with Victor along the way. I don't, maybe it's a little bit lower than that, to be fair. But certainly with managerial appointments, he's 1 out of 4 so far. That one was a really, really, really good one, but it was just an extraordinary kind of situation as well. So, yeah, to me, he's been, he hasn't been the worst director of football ever. Like, I don't want to go over the top about it, because there's no point. But I think his time has certainly run its course. He's made enough mistakes now to probably warrant not being in this job anymore. And I hope that at the end of this season, we look to move on and get somebody else in, because whatever vision or direction he seemed to have or claimed to have at some point, I'm just not seeing it coming to fruition. At this point, it doesn't look like we're going in any particular direction. Again, to go back to what we were saying before about, the same kind of comments you get from Jesse Marsh before about, oh, we're always turn the corner. No, we're not. We're just going in circles. It seems like we're turning a corner, but we're not. We're going in circles. And it's the same thing from the director of football. If you're going to go with that model, right, the director of football model, where the manager doesn't have control of those things, you buy the manager to fit the model rather than the other way around. I'm not seeing it from him anymore. I think there was some semblance of a direction at some point, certainly when we were going for promotion, and it seems like we've been lost ever since we got promoted. It's like they're like the dog that chases the car; they don't know what to do with it when they get it. And that's been this crew with promotion. They chased it, they got it. Now they have no idea what to do. So it's time. I think it's time to move on. And then it's probably going to happen, as soon as Radrazani is done. If the buyout manages to actually happen, I suspect that Orta will go when Rads goes.
Where are you at, Cheer, with Orta and Raz, and are they inseparable, or are you? What behavior have you seen from? Well, I mean, what can you not look at? But yeah, where is your head at in those two? Kinnear's to me just the PR man.
I too much.
He gets some stuff wrong, but again, his boss is Radrazani.
Well, Kinnear does a lot of sorry to interrupt, but Kinnear does a lot of the behind the scenes business stuff, right?
He's the business manager.
He's the business manager. So he's the CEO, right? He does the business stuff. So we're not going to see him on a football side. It's the other stuff. But anyway,
it's unusual in a lot of places to have an owner and a CEO, because they kind of do the same. Well, supposed to kind of do the same job. I know Radrazani's interests are split across lots of different businesses that he owns. My only complaint with Kinnear is that I've accused him of gaslighting fans. In the past, I think he says the wrong thing sometimes at the wrong time. But what I think they're all guilty of, and I think the promotion probably did this to them, was they believe in themselves, and they believe their own hype a little bit too much. We've seen that with the first year of Bielsa coming up. They didn't really back him that much. They spent a few quid on a few players, but they didn't give him the squad that he needed, which caught up with us. They didn't back him in the final January window to bring in midfielders, and then they throw money at Jesse. And there seems to be, this is where I'm at with the whole lot of them. There seems to be we have a vision for now, and then that division doesn't work. So the solution is throw a bag of cash at the problem. And they threw a bag of cash and they got Bielsa. They didn't think they'd get him. I think the question at the time was, name me a manager that you think would do a great job here. It doesn't matter how much they cost. And Victor said something like Bielsa's top of the list, but you won't get him. But we did get him because he was interested in the project. He saw a lot in the fan base and what Leeds could offer as a one city club. And And they pretty much gave him the keys to the club. Like he changed the whole setup behind the scenes in the club. He changed the training ground. He put new running tracks in. He wanted the pitches in the ground the same as the pitches in the stadium. It was an entire vision of Bielsa that you would hope then would stay at the club for years to come after that. Even if the manager changes, a new manager comes in, you say, look, this is the youth setup. This is the way it's done. That way we replicate the same size of the pitch, same turf, same markings. Everything's identical to the home ground. You can work within that structure. Any manager can work within that structure. But then if you look at what the vision initially was Christensen and Heckenbottom, it was young up-and-coming coaches who they thought would be the next big coach. Similar to what they're doing with players as well, trying to buy them before they make the breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work. I mean, the argument about Heckenbottom is we went too early with him. Look at him now. Then it was Bielsa. It was the full package. Take everything. You're the one. You create the vision. So Victor didn't create any vision there. Raz didn't create any vision there. They just backed the guy who knew what he was talking about and made sense. And they went, yeah, okay, no problem. We're paying a lot of money. We may as well get you to build the club behind the scenes for us. And then that falls apart and they bring in Jesse to replace him. And it's very similar. And then we find out pretty quickly it's not similar at all. And Jesse doesn't seem to have the behind the scenes stuff that Bielsa did, where Bielsa was spending time training spending time talking to the under 18s, under 16s, under 12s. Jesse's doing press conferences, so they spent their time differently. And then you look at it and it's the Leicester model. That's the vision. It's the Leicester model. And then that gets thrown out the window this year. Just gets absolutely thrown out the window. Let's just buy players. We need them. And now we're in a situation where you're going for Javi Gracia and doesn't fit any of the models beforehand. So it's a new model again. So it's again this firefighting thing of, well, that didn't work. What's next? That didn't work. What's next? That didn't work. What's next? And I think they believe in themselves way too much. I think Orta, who outright has taken credit for the promotion. We've seen the video from Brentford where he's 17 years without Premier League. Wouldn't have it without me. No, mate. We wouldn't have it without Bielsa. You just threw a bag of cash at him. Don't give yourself that much credit. You weren't that involved. Yeah. So for me, I don't know what the vision is for them. Gracia is a sensible appointment, I think, at this point, but doesn't fit the exciting, expansive football, rock and roll, boom, boom football that we were seeing. So I don't know what their vision is. I don't know what they're trying to do. I will always give Radrazani credit for taking us out of the championship, putting the money in to get Bielsa. That's Radrazani gets that credit. Yep. He does. Buying the stadium back, gets the credit for that. Hasn't done anything with the stadium, but he bought it back. That's okay. Yep. There's been a lot of false promises. There's been stadium improvements promises. The dugout's being done, wasn't done. Stadium wasn't improved. Toilets haven't even been improved. Nothing's been improved in the stadium. So, training ground being moved into Fullerton Park beside the ground where it used to be. No, that hasn't happened yet either. The badge stuff, that happened. That wasn't great. And on the signings, I mean, if you go through the list of signings that Orta has done, he's thrown an absolute ton of money at players, and a lot of them didn't work out. But he gets a Willie Gnonto or he gets a Rafinha, and all of a sudden it's, well, you forget about the mistakes of the past when you've got the shiny new toy that's working out really well. Yeah. And I think Victor's got away with it. But when all the fancy toys are gone and when the shine has gone off of everything, it comes back to the same thing. You're causing problems. You're enraging the fans. You're inciting the fans. You're taking credit for work that wasn't you. You're trying to make it that you're the reason the club is where it is. All the problems with Victor Orta were there before. There was a Victor Orta out campaign before Bielsa came in, a very strong one on social media. And then Bielsa came in, and we all forgot about it. And then, but now it started again. And if you look, I just gone to Google and type in Victor Orta Middlesbrough and look at what happened there. Walk into the dressing room and telling Aitor Karanka what team he should be picking, criticized heavily for the signings he made and their inability to make an impact in a team. So this has all happened before. There's nothing new here. This is the same as before. It's just every now and then they get one of the appointments right, and we stop talking about the backroom stuff because it's not important. What's important is we're enjoying the football, and when the football is not enjoyable, there's nothing else to look at outside the absolute cluster that's happening in the club. And there's a lot of rumors coming out of the club that's ran like a League One club, still behind the scenes, people not getting paid properly, people not getting paid on time. Like, there's a lot of rumors that float out of the club. So from a running the club perspective, the sooner the 49ers get in and clean house, and I hope they clean house. I really, really do. And put a proper structure where the fate of the club is not dictated to by three people. There's an actual board of management there who can discuss things and plan things and make real decisions. So yeah, I'm a little disenfranchised with what's going on behind the scenes. I think they're making a laughing stock out of a club that I love, and it knocks me down. I think I said this to Jess, my partner, said this to me the other day. It's like an abusive relationship, and we've just started to realize that we're in it. You know, it's been constantly just punch, and now we're at the point where we're going, oh, hang on,
yeah,
too much. It's gone too far. This has to stop. Because she sees it, I keep saying to her, you got to come to a game with me. And she says, I don't think I can. I've seen what you're like when they lose. I don't think I can put up with that live. And I'm like, yeah, it's tough being a Leeds fan, but when it does go right, it's worth it. But more often than not, it doesn't. So yeah, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess behind the scenes. And I hope Garcia gives us a little bit of a respite.
Yep.
I agree.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could have said any better.
It up. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jared, completely.
I think the more I look at it, Javi he was a gimmick, Marsh. I mean, that's what I start to feel.
Well, there's a real gimmicky aspect to it. I think you're right about that. There certainly seemed to be, to me anyway.
To just be going through these systems like
systems and processes.
But are they? Are they processes? Are they though? Are they?
They're not.
I really don't think that they are. I really just think they're sitting in a room looking. I said this on Just Joe's podcast, and I said it on that as well. The list is a series of pictures that are stuck to a dartboard, and they're just throwing darts at it. And when they hit one, they ring them. Oh, and that doesn't happen. Take that picture down, replace it with another one, and throw a dart and see which one they hit. It's not. There is no process here. That's not give them that amount of credit. There can't be. It can't be. I mean, we said this before. There's no point having a list of managers that aren't attainable. It's not a list. Michael, you said this the last time we spoke. It's not a list. It's a shit list.
Yeah,
it's
we have to hold a mirror up to ourselves here because, you know, we were all sort of laughing at Everton. We're like, your two choices are Bielsa or Dyche. Those are two completely different. And now we're in the same situation. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, we're just going from one style to another style to another style. I mean, even just the fact that we went from Bielsa to Marsh and we're told that it was the next evolution or the next step in this attacking football sort of high intensity. And it wasn't. The only thing they had in common was intensity. And the huge difference for me was that Bielsa's focus was on fitness.
Organized. It was organized.
Apart from the organization, but Bielsa's players were fit enough to be able to keep the intensity. Marsh's players were blowing after 70 minutes because they weren't keeping up the same fitness levels.
But yeah, they'll tell you that the fitness stats were higher than they ever were. Higher than they ever were. But then the players are knackered after 60 minutes. Luke Ayling against Manchester United in Old Trafford was out on his feet after 75 minutes.
It was clear that they were. And yet under Bielsa, we were still running full tilt the entire length of the pitch at 95 minutes, scoring last minute goals. Like, I mean, it was just night and day difference. So yeah, to me, it was never going to work. And I don't want to, I know we did the Marsh bit already. And, you know, my view of it was that he probably wasn't going to work out as of last spring, even though, you know, we managed to stay up, which I think was fairly lucky in a lot of ways. And he does get some credit for that. We did improve. I think there are other things that I have to take into account, like the fact that we had players return from injury, and the fact that, you know, our opponent on the final day went foolishly down to 9 men.
We didn't realize it for 5 minutes. It took players, it was people shouting from the bench. They were doing this.
Yeah, they got 9. Yeah, exactly. Because they made a change too early and someone went off injured. Like it was crazy. And like the formation change, like he was shouting that from the bench as well, like change to 4-2-2-2 or whatever it was at the time. Like, because they were down to 9. Yeah, I mean, it seemed to me to be incredibly lucky. And, you know, at that point I was like, are we really going to stick with this next season? Because I just don't think. And people are, well, give him a summer, give him a preseason, see how it goes. And then we have August and September. We had a couple of great wins that really, I think, saved him. But this goes back again to the board decision. You look at this and you go, crap, good performance and a win, crap, good performance and a win. And that's what you're going to keep him on that basis, that you're able to pull out some miracle wins every once in a while. It seems to me to be so reactive to, like, I guess to borrow from Jesse Marsh, you know, like celebrating the moments or whatever. Well, they're over celebrating those few moments and not really looking at the big picture. And the big picture is that it wasn't going to work. And that just goes again back to their their total lack of organization, their total lack of foresight, maybe just believing in themselves way too much and being unwilling to accept when they make mistakes, whether that's on Orta or Radrazani or who it's on. But like I said before, I think if it's on Orta, then it's also on Radrazani because he's the boss, right?
Yeah.
Let's dig into Javi Grazia. Is that what I'm saying it?
Yeah. I was saying Garcia for 2 days, but it's Grazia,
yeah.
Let's. Have you guys been able to take a peek at him? I know Tifo's got a video on him, but interested in your thoughts.
I would also recommend Leeds lately. Max has done a cracking video on the style of play as well. Actually, Michael, you go first. I've been talking too long. You go.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Well, so I probably haven't done as deep a dive as Jer has. You've had all evening to sort of look videos, you said. So I've done a little bit. So a couple of the things that stand out for me from what I've been seeing, we've mentioned a few of them already. Players who have played for him really like him, even though he's, I think, a strict manager. There was that video that came out with Ben Foster talking about how great he was, and also his coaching staff. It'd be nice. I don't know. Are we getting his coach?
Yes, apparently we are. Apparently,
good. That's good. I saw what interesting thing was that apparently the goalkeeping coach that he has is really great, and I think, to be honest, we might need a change there because I have some real concerns about the way our keepers do some of the things they do, and we've had Marcos Abad there for a while, like for a long time, longer than Bielsa. He's an Orta guy from before Bielsa was around, I think. So
an Orta guy, eh?
Yeah.
Another one.
And I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and I can barely, assess goalkeeping in general, let alone goalkeeping coaching. But all I know is what I see in terms of results. And I think there are some clear issues there with some of the things that all of our keepers have done over time. And I think Melly is a good young keeper. But there are just some weird mistakes that get made that I think should be coached and maybe aren't being coached. Again, not an expert at goalkeeping, but it seems to me that there's an issue there. So maybe a refresh after 4 or 5 years is a good idea anyway. Although that doesn't mean that Abad's leaving, but someone else coming in with some new ideas.
You can have a couple of goalkeeping coaches, and you should have a couple of
exactly. So having some fresh ideas there, I think might be a good idea. He seems flexible, but sensible. 3 at the back. We've been talking about that for a while. And it's not, it's not my favorite formation in the world, but where we're at right now, it's just the one that makes sense. So the fact that he has that in his locker is something that he does and can do. Some of the 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2 that can sort of be a 4-2-4 or a 4-2-2 or whatever. Like, so flexibility there, I think, is good because our squad, I think, is built for that. We have that ability. We have players who can. We're missing a little bit on the right, I think, in terms of a proper right winger, but I think Sinisterra and Harrison are both better sort of on the left, but I think we can make it work, especially if the wingers are going to tuck inside a bit. And if we're playing 3 at the back with wing backs, we should be able to make it work. I think so. And more players in midfield would be good for us as well, because I think I'm not really happy about the Adams McKennie as a 2. I like them together in midfield, but not as a 2. I like them together in midfield as a 3 with somebody else who can progress the ball from deep. So if we're looking at having 5 people in midfield with a couple of wing backs there, that would be 3 of them potentially if Rock is ready to come back soon, we hope. But there needs to be a ball progressor there, I think, for that to work better. I don't want to crap on McKennie or anything. He hasn't really lit it up so far, but I think that's because he's not playing a position that's actually suitable to his skills. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that stuff, just to see what he can do, that he has different systems, that he's clearly an experienced coach and has done it at this level. He's not sort of a blow your socks off name. He's not like elite level, but he's sensible. And I think it's probably something along the lines of what we could use at this point in time.
Here, what do you think of the appointment, and have you dug in on
a little bit? Just a little bit. I think the sensible approach, we were saying this last week or a couple of weeks ago, it'd be nice every now and then if the board made the obvious choice and not the try to be a smart arse choice, not trying to be too cute, as we say over here. trying to be too smart for your own good. But
too cute by half.
Too cute by half. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'd say like a Cavan man cute over here, but that's Cavan's a place in Ireland. But he plays a variation of systems. The thing that I like about him the most is that he's not stuck to a system. What people have said about him is he adapts to the players that he's got at a club. Max Bober being out injured for a couple of weeks is going to be a problem for us because he was doing so well for us at the back, and I think you need to reassess what we've got there. He plays normally a 4-4-2, but that can look like a 3-5-2 or even a 4-2-2-2 at times, depending on where the players are. This is where the sensible approach comes in. This is something that I do with my teams and what a lot of amateur coaches actually do. It's kind of a sensible approach is if a fullback goes up the pitch, the other fullback stays and tucks in. So you left 3 and 1 in front. That's your format. So you've always got a back 4. Always got a back 4. 3 and 1 in front. And I like that. He does need a better passer of a ball in midfield to progress forward. But I think McKennie could do that. It doesn't have to be directly forward, but it's in defeat to the striker. His issue for me is going to be he likes a striker that can hold the ball up. And Pat Bamford has shown in the past that he's capable of doing that. But so far, ever since he's come back from injury, the ball just seems to ping off him. And his first touch hasn't been brilliant. That's another saying. Your first touch is so bad, your second's a tackle. So he needs to sort that out a little bit. But this could rejuvenate Pat if he has got a second player playing off him. If it's a Rutter or if it's a Nonto playing off of him, you could see something very, very different. We could see Willie coming in off the wing into a central area, letting Somerville have the space. There will be more space. The key thing to say about this is, and people have already started to hone in on the 4-2-2, that it's penis ball, it's Jesse football, but it's not. And this is the difference between compact and narrow are very different. Compact has flexible to go wide when the opportunities to go wide are there. Narrow is a decision to stay central and to focus everything to a point. That's not what he does. It's a compact system. So how you describe it as half in the pitch. We looked at it a couple of months ago when we did the game with Jesse, when everybody was nearly on the near touchline and we had so much space on the far side. If you can imagine, if the ball's on our right-hand side, say the camera, there we go. Your right-hand player is kind of here. Everyone will tuck across and your left back will be level with the Peno spot or the half, the center spot on the touchline. That's compact. And when the ball switches, they all switch across to get it like a block. But then when you win it, you're looking for your wingers to get high and wide, and you're looking to break and then come back in again. So it's narrow is not compact. Guillaume Balaguer said he's an incredible reader of the game and will make changes during the game depending on how it's going. One of the things we saw with Jesse Marsh was that doesn't happen. It's and Bielsa to a degree as well. A plan A is plan A, and if plan A is not working, do plan A better. You will get changes of systems during games. You will get us adapting to things. So if it's a case that we're doing really well in the first half, playing narrow, and team comes out in the second half and decides to go direct, he'll adjust the systems to fit that direct system, and we should be okay to adapt to that as well. The thing I liked about him as well is Troy Deeney said about his fines that he is very tough on fines. I think it was £100 for every minute you're late, or every 5 minutes you're late. And as Deeney said, if you're stuck on the M25 and you're 25 minutes late for training, you're watching the fines clock up to 30,000-40,000, and you will pay them, and you will pay them. So he's big on fines, he's big on structure. And what Ben Foster said was he takes every training session and every aspect of every training session, which is something that Bielsa was very much involved in. You see lots of videos of Bielsa being in the middle of the pitch screaming at players while there's a game going on around him. He didn't coach from the sideline, he coached from the center circle, and you'll see that with Grazia as well. The other thing as well with him is he has played three at the back. I like three at the back, and the reason I like three at the back is I think it hides the areas of weakness we've got in our team, and I include our centre backs in that. I think even when Llorente was here, I think you could have gone Cooper, Koch, and Llorente, and that system would have helped cover the mistakes of each other. And then you get the most out of a Christensen and a Firpo because they can attack freely, knowing that they've got three players sitting back and holding midfielder in front to keep them safe. So they can kind of go and not half commit. They can fully go and commit and get involved in the game. So, and hides their weaknesses by being caught over the back. So there's a lot of things to be hopeful for. I always say, and I'm losing my positivity at the moment. I'm kind of going down the pragmatic route, or the we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. I'm not going to get my hopes up because, as I keep saying, it's the hope that kills you. And I can't keep getting my hope up every year. I can't.
For me, I have a few thoughts. It's tough to judge the team. Well, it's specifically hard for me to judge McKinney in the jump in leagues. He's been poor. I get that. He does get stuck in. He's put in shifts in moments. But his passing and his movement forward is really hard for me to judge at this point because we were playing such not poor. I mean, we had a good plans of attack. I mean, it was Jesse Marsh. I said it was Jesse Marsh light against Man United and Everton. So it's just hard for me to judge in that system. Neither McKinney or Adams can really obviously play. So that up the middle kind of lane, so to speak, is going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then it's going to also be interesting to see what he does with the 10 role if he keeps Harrison there, because Harrison had the worst game, maybe in a Leeds shirt for me.
Oh, he's had a few like that. He's had a couple like that over the years.
It's hard for me to judge. Well, I don't know. I just Nate on a previous stream who we've been kind of doing some work with said it's just like I don't think he's a 10. I just don't think he's a 10, and that's fair. He's had moments, but it's just again it was tough for me to judge him. And then so it'll be interesting to see what he does. And this was a good comment. Ryan, I met with a guy in Leeds last week who is friends with Parag, who I think is the representative of the 49ers in the York family. He was doing a piece on USA Network, which is here on owners in the Premier League. It's also going to be, it looks available on ESPN or New York Times as well. So that'll be interesting. That again signifies to me that at least they're serious, which is important, you know. So
it doesn't really hurt the 49ers too much if we go down because the value of the club drops by about 100 million, so they pay less. But they do have to put that money back into the team somewhere to get them back up again, or they just refuse to sell players and just try and get a double bounce straight back up again.
I think the difficulty with them is because of the way they put together the deal that they have. It's not just the 49ers that they put together as a consortium, and some of the investors may not be interested in doing that, right?
Yeah, that's a good point because it is well, not a trust as such, but it's a cooperative of
it's a cooperative investment vehicle.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So we know that 3 high-profile people that we know of: the York family, Peter Lowy, and then the YouTube fella, for example. Right. But there are others as well that have come. I know they've been chopping some of the smaller ones out as well, doing their own internal shuffling. But you don't know if everyone who's made a major investment into that group for this particular investment are going to want to stay on board. So there may be some wrangling and stuff that they have to do. I suspect that they're probably going to want to do this regardless of what happens. And I know the deal's in place to go through if we stay up. I thought there was some sort of contingency being dealt with if we go down. I don't know if it's been formalized or what, but you would expect that there'd be some sort of alternative deal that could be reached. If we don't manage to stay,
it'd be renegotiated 100%.
Yeah. You'd think it'd be a renegotiation as opposed to walking away.
Oh yeah, John is saying it in chat there. The 44% they already own will drop massively. It won't because they have to sell that. That's their ownership. You know, they own that much of the club. So if they want to reduce that, they've got to sell it to somebody or sell it back to Rads. And Alex, I made a couple of points just on a few things that you said. I thought they were very good points, but and I thought one of them was very funny. The Jesse Marsh light. Couldn't agree with you more. I thought it was ending. However, you know the problem with light beer and light drinks is it's everything you know about the original, but none of the fun. And that's the problem. All right. So that's what we got in the second Man U game. We got all of the Jesse Marsh stuff, but without the fun. And then to a degree, like I see what Nate's saying about Jackie not being a 10. I think there's a 10 in him, but I think there's a 10 in him. I think more so because he can't cross a ball and he's a winger. His delivery from set pieces is appalling. It's just, I said this again during the week to the guys.
Set pieces have been so bad. And
what is it?
We've been here before with this stuff.
Jesse would come out and say, we pride ourselves on set pieces and set piece defense. And I'd be like,
that's what they pride themselves on. They're standing over doing this, but nothing happens. Nothing happens, you know? No. And under Bielsa, we were all saying it. We were all screaming under Bielsa, especially in the last season. Get Jack Harrison off corners. He can't beat the first man. Jesse takes him off corners completely. Skubala takes over, puts him back on corners to the point where you're substituting him in the last minute of the game to get Greenwood on, so you get a better corner into the box as he's placing the ball to take a corner. Jack Harrison can't cross the ball, and he's too inconsistent for me to be a Premier League player at this level. I think we should have sold him when we got the chance. I know I said at the time, we didn't lose a player. That's probably a good move considering where we are, but we've got to upgrade. It's an upgrade we need on Jack. He's been great for us. He helped get us up. Again, he'll always be a legend in that team. But he hasn't produced anything this season outside of 2 or 3 games at the start of the season when he was chasing the World Cup place. And then that went away, and so did his form, and it hasn't really come back outside of a couple of moments in games. And, and a really nice goal against a League 2 or League 1 side in Accrington. Like, great, you scored against Accrington. And he said he doesn't celebrate because it's his job. No, he didn't celebrate because you scored against Accrington. Mm-hmm. What's the point in celebrating against Accrington? Like, we still conceded against them. Like there's issues in that team. I'd like to see some significant changes. If Garcia comes in, I'd like to see out and out wingers. If we're going to play wingers, let's go out and out wingers. Let's put Somerville on one wing, and if we can get Sinisterra fit, let Sinisterra be free. Let him be a winger. Oh, sorry, that's something else that somebody else said about him. I'm trying to remember who said it about. Well, sorry, it was a Watford fan. It was on Joe's show, and he said, "You're about to see the shackles taken off Gnonto. That he'll let his wingers play and let them go and get involved." And Somerville the same. I think Somerville's been super restricted. But I mean, on the 49ers stuff, I think that goes ahead. I don't think that'll fall off the cliff. They might renegotiate. They might look to maybe sell a portion to somebody else and have another minor investor just in case it doesn't go well. They might hedge their bets a little bit. But as Michael said, there's already a fund of cooperative people that are involved in this. That money's they're not going to want to repay that money or get that money back to people because it's been invested. So there's an issue there with that as well. But yeah, there's a change needed. But what I will say about the Manchester United game, the second game specifically, and the Everton one, I don't think we were awful the last couple of games. I thought we were very good in both Man U games. I thought we did really well. We conceding 2 goals late is a sign of fitness and tiredness and concentration going 100%. And I'd said it before the game. My preview for the game was my concern is crosses into the box, and will always be crosses. Rashford has a really good tendency of getting between centre backs, and it's exactly what he did.
He's on fire.
He can do no wrong right now. Unfortunately, he's a nice bloke as well, which really annoys me because I really don't want to like him. But he seems to be a decent human on top of everything else. But against Everton, it just felt to me like they down tools. Like the players were so many players over to the sideline talking to the bench, so many players talking to each other. Like Bamford again talking to defenders about what they should be doing, pointing in areas of the park. And it's like if you're not focusing the job you're supposed to be doing, then the team isn't working properly, And we saw this against Aston Villa last year when there was that moment where they just stopped on the pitch and the fans lost the plot, and then they all start pressing and running forward again. I think Jesse just taken over. So there's that bit to it as well, that maybe it was just we don't know what to do anymore. There's too many different ideas because, again, and this was said in the square ball, you've got Paco Gallardo, you've got Chris Armas, and you've got Scubala. None of these guys know each other. Bar Gallardo and Scubala to a degree, but these guys haven't come from the same school of football. They haven't come through the same ideology of football. They're very different ideas in football. And you could see it. It was a mishmash, hodgepodge of football. I'm still not going to be too harsh on Meslier because he's still a very young goalkeeper. Yes. And I think in most scenarios, he's still not the first choice keeper in a lot of clubs at this stage. He's probably on loan somewhere still.
Yep.
So it's a bad goal to concede. But again, it's concentration. Yep. He doesn't even move. And that's the problem, which means he thinks it's going wide, which to me says he thinks he's beside his post, which means his positioning is awful. He does make mistakes. The last 10 minutes of the Everton game was Tyler Adams and Amelia just kicking the ball back to Everton players. Everton got the ball, they just kicked it straight back to an Everton player. Drove me nuts. That stuff needs to get tidied up. But again, I think there was no structure in that game. I think the game plan went out the window. I think we finished with a 4-2-4 at one point. One of the commentators even said, I don't know what system Leeds are playing, but they're going for it. I was like, yeah, but we couldn't get the ball to any of the players we had up there because we couldn't get it over on half. So I think we'll get a bit of structure from Grazia. I think in that sense, a bit more organization, remove these lads from this leadership group, put the fines in place, work them hard. They've got a battle between now and the end of the season, and they're going to have to feel like they're in a battle. They're going to have to dig in and be tougher mentally, be tougher physically as well, and cut the crap out. We lost Max Fober over a stupid tussle with Tyler Adams on the sideline. Where Fober, you can see Fober kind of hurts himself a little, and then a couple minutes later he's clearing the ball off the line. Then he properly hurts himself, and you're like, that kind of stuff is unnecessary and it's cost us. Just cut it out. Get back to playing football, focus on the game. Yeah, this is the one part Jesse Marshall didn't like was that I like a bit of niggle in the game. But don't go out of your way looking for it. Don't go looking for it,
Yeah. It's an interesting point you raised about Bamford because he in no way in the form that he's in right now should be telling anybody how to do their job.
He's not right to be on the pitch right now. In the
His
form
air kicks in the last few matches,
lack of a right
his
foot.
complete inability to do anything with his right foot. You know, Alex is like,
yeah. I forgot about the air kick in the whiff at the weekend. He had a whiff the weekend before, I believe, and
Full swinger before, yeah.
It's a couple.
I don't know.
It's a couple games in a row that he's completely whiffed.
But it's not just him. This is where the basics of football come in. Like Tyler Adams not being able to pass the ball. Now, and I'm being harsh on Tyler Adams, but in one game, it's not an indictment of him as a player or in a season.
No, he's been tremendous. A good player this season, for sure.
He's been excellent for us. But in that particular game, not being able to pass the ball 5 yards without being intercepted by somebody is a problem, because that's a basic, fundamental, area of a midfielder. Rasmus Christensen having a foul throw, a professional footballer foul throw. If one of my players does it, it gets this reaction. It's just, are you serious? Really? You couldn't keep both feet on the ground, no? You couldn't stay behind the white line. Like, you're a pro. You're getting paid a ton of money, and you foul throw in the Premier League? That's embarrassing. A goalkeeper that can't cover his front post. A goalkeeper should never be beaten at his front post. It is enshrined in football. So it's basics for me. It's basic. Bamford having a kick. Why can't you kick a ball with 2 feet? You're earning enough money to be able to kick a ball with 2 feet, or at least have a proper swing at it with your right foot, but you can't.
To say that you'd rather take it with the outside of your left foot than the inside of your right is astounding. How?
Yeah. You might be really good with the outside of your foot, and unfortunately he isn't. And just it takes away from the good stuff that Bamford can do. At the moment, he's back to this. We saw it against Crystal Palace. He's back to this overthinking everything he does.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to say Bamford. I actually really like Patrick Bamford.
I do as well.
And I think he adds things to our team that nobody else does. I think he leads the line better than anyone. I think his running and positioning is elite. There's stuff about his game that is fantastic, but he really needs to just focus on himself right now and not be telling other people what to do. I know he's got this sort of leadership and he's a senior player in the squad or whatever, but dude, like, honestly, just concentrate on what you're doing.
I'm just going to correct now. You can call that a step over if you want, mate, but it's pretty much an air shot. You have to be a step over. There has to be somebody behind you to get on the end of it.
Yeah.
Good shout, though.
Another thing about the dead balls is we really haven't had somebody standing over a dead ball on a set piece, like around the box, not just their corner.
We don't have one.
Outside of Rafinha was doing that. But when we got Vober stepping up and doing that, it's just, and I know he's kind of got it in his locker, but if this is the Prem, this is a different level. So I don't know. And obviously Sam Greenwood might have it in his locker. We've seen it in the U23s.
Great last night.
Maybe it can translate, but when we're depending on him, that's just, so hopefully they can figure that out. Let's look ahead at the schedule. I'm just going to name them out loud. Let's see. We got Southampton, Fulham in the Cup, Chelsea, Brighton, Wolves, Arsenal, Forest, Palace, Liverpool, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth. That's enough until we get to May. Does he turn it around? I thought after the failed 2 weeks where they were going after managers that were in jobs, that was the part that was blowing my mind. And you're not willing to pay. You've got to pay.
It's fine in October. Like, it's fine. That works in October. It doesn't work even if you are paying. It almost never works now.
But,
February.
Yeah. It's a tougher sell.
These managers can see the finish line with their own teams, and you're going after winners.
Right.
These are people that are either going to win the league or do like a historic European qualification for their teams.
So you got to blow them away
right now.
You got to blow them away with money, and then rumors coming out that they're not, they didn't want to pay some of these release clauses or have them on short contracts. It's like, what are we thinking here? Like, you're going after these managers, you better be able to pay up. So anyways, it's finally over the line. Javi, it is. I think this team will benefit from discipline.
Yeah.
This is we went from Bielsa, massive discipline, to Marsh, who was, I think they respected, but he grabbed him around the the arm and was trying to be, and I got that was maybe needed at that time. I kind of say that, but he wasn't a tactician. He was a man manager. And now we had really, I love, God bless Scoobs. He put in two.
Yeah, this isn't on him.
But he's the substitute teacher now. And I think you kind of saw that. Like the players weren't going to respect the substitute teacher for the rest of the year. And I think it would have gotten really toxic in the dressing room. So now we've got Javi in, and from Watford, from some of these disciplinary things about being late, being in shape. These are the things that, and I'm looking at my compatriot, McKinney, like we need to get serious about this and turn this ship around, because we are running out of string to turn the season around. So what's your kind of outlook forward? Do you have expectations, the hope, I guess, that kills you? What are you feeling about getting out? I tried to curb myself yesterday. I think, I was doom and gloom on the messaging, the thread, because I just don't have any. I was having, after Everton, which was it was a terrible watch. I just was like, I don't have any expectations anymore. Like, we're going down.
Yep.
I mean, it was that team, the Everton team was they didn't play their best game. So I don't know. I guess it's wait and see, but what are you guys feeling? Do you feel like he can get it out, get a tune out of these players and maybe make a push for 17th, 16th, and 15th?
I think we're down. I'm at that stage of grief where I've accepted it because I can't be annoyed by it anymore. I think it's going to take something special to get us out of here, because I think we're free falling. Where last year we were in a bad position, but I don't think I never felt we were free falling. I always thought we were a couple of games away from getting out of trouble again, but it feels right now like we're dropping like a stone. What I will say though is take Fulham in the cup out of it. Southampton at home is a winnable game. It's a game we have to win. That could get us out of the bottom three in one match if we beat them. Results go our way. Last weekend couldn't have gone any worse for Leeds in terms of shock results in the bottom four. I think Chelsea away, they're under serious pressure with Potter. I think if Chelsea don't start well against Leeds, I think you'll see Stamford Bridge turn on Potter. That might help Leeds. So that could be a positive. You've got Brighton at home and Wolves away. You should be, if you can get 9 points out of the next 4 games, that's a fantastic return. That's you're nearly there. You're actually nearly there already. You're looking at 6 wins, I think, and a couple of draws.
28 points at that point, yeah.
Yeah. I think you're moving the right direction though, because and their games you need to win. Then you've got Arsenal. Don't think we get anything out of that. It's away from home. I think we've got enough record out there anyway. Then you've got Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace and Liverpool back to back at home. So you've got a couple of home games in a row, chance to build some momentum. You get a point against Liverpool, you pick up maybe a point against, beat Palace, and Forest are weird right now because I think they're really starting to find their feet and their form, which is a problem.
Yeah. Cooper's a good coach, man. Like
he's a good coach. He proved that last year, And he's proven he's probably a better coach than Graham Potter to some degree, because they've thrown a ton of players at him. He's managed to get a tune out of them where Potter doesn't integrate people and it's not working. I don't think he's a complicated coach, though. I think his system is pretty straightforward. It's a model of just outwork your opponents and you'll win games in it. And it works. It does work in a lot of the cases. So I think if you get to that stage, you could be looking at being okay. I just don't want to go down to the last 2 games of the season. I mean, you've got Man City, Newcastle, West Ham, and Spurs as your last 4. Outside of West Ham, the other 3, Spurs and Man City could hurt, but Bournemouth could be the one that keeps you up. But they need to win. And this is the problem. We don't have time to see a performance. I don't want to be judging Grazia after 1 game. I don't think we should. We shouldn't. But I think worst case scenario here is if we do go down, we've probably got a coach that will stick around and hopefully bring us back up. And I think he could do that. And he's that level.
Ride or die at this point, right?
I think it's ride or die. Yeah, I think he knows that himself. That's why he's kind of accepted the deal. Gone, if I do a great job here, chances are I might get a contract. And Leeds fans we're good. Like this is an area where Leeds fans are good. If he does a really good job at Leeds, he'll be appreciated. And if the club try and shortchange him at the end of the season and replace him with somebody, the fans won't like that because there's loyalty there to a guy that's done a good job for the club.
Yep.
So they're backing themselves into a corner here. If we go down, I think he's the kind of manager that will stick with the club because it's still a big club and a chance to get promotion. And the club's not bankrupt. I don't think we'd see a fire sale. I think we'd see a few of the bigger players probably go. And maybe our youth policy kicks in properly. Then the likes of Javi start playing regularly. Creswell, Leo Hill is on a very good loan at Rotherham at the moment. At left back, he's doing really well.
Lewis Bate,
yeah, I still think he needs another year or two, but I think he's got to be
championship though would be the next step up for him anyway.
Correct.
So
yeah, 100%. So I think from that perspective, I mean, it's a tough one to call. I've always tried to be balanced and positive with stuff, and I've kind of made a name for myself about being positive. I'm struggling at the moment because I have been. The whole thing's ground me down, and it's not just the results in Jesse Marsh. I was actually quite positive when Jesse was there because every now and then I'd see something in a game and I go, okay, it's there. There's something there. It might happen. But now I'm like, it's everything that's gone on off the field has just reminded me of the end of the Massimo Cellino era, and I hated it. I was so negative at that point in Leeds history. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we turn it around. I really, really do. I'd like this guy to be a success.
You know who we forget about is and the reason why Bate was loaned out was Gray. I forgot his first name now. It's Archie. Great. He might be part of. Yeah, he might be part of. Maybe not the championship
this season, though, wasn't he? The Marsh said he'll be involved in the first team.
Yeah,
he's been injured all year, and they said his latest injury is down to just his age. It's down to growing pains. It's an ankle problem that he's got.
Right.
And I remember Steven Gerrard going through this at Liverpool. He had injury after injury after injury, and he was like just breaking into the Liverpool team, and they were saying it was growing pains. It was literally growing pains. He was taking a sprout, and it was causing issues with joints,
causing ligaments to loosen up.
Correct. Everything gets pulled and tighter, and and you look at people. My nephews have taken an absolute jump to men now, but they've. I used to go down and see them, and you might not see them for 2 or 3 weeks. Then you go down, they're a foot taller, and you're like, what? What are you eating? How did that happen? But you can imagine the effect that growing that quickly has on your body. Your ligaments don't have time to grow that quickly. Think how long it takes.
Teenagers going through that right now.
Yeah.
He's about 14, and he's sprouted like 3 inches in the last couple of months. Yeah. And it's growing pains and everything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Think about the physiology of the body. Think about players who've got injured or tear hamstrings. How long does it take for a torn hamstring to repair? And as you're growing, muscles are having micro tears. As you build muscle, it's micro tears, and then it heals. It's bigger. So you have all these little things. So if you're growing rapidly, your body doesn't have time to repair because it takes 6 to 8 weeks to repair from a muscle tear, and you're growing, 4 inches in 5 weeks. It's tough on the body. So that takes time. And Kimberly, I will still be a happy clapper. Sorry, I just saw that comment. I will sort myself out. I promise I will sort myself out.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn that into a positive. I swear to God. So I think Archie's a great option, but I think, unfortunately he struggled with injury, but it's a great shout, Alex. I think he's a good option. Yeah. I'll get back. I promise.
Yeah, look, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I think I expect and am embracing relegation at this point. If we manage to come out of it, great. I mean, that's a bonus, but I don't think that that's realistic. It's possible. We've given ourselves with this appointment, I think, of a decent manager for this level, someone who has a good track record, not elite, not astounding, but good, and I think will work well with what we have. We've given ourselves a puncher's chance of getting out of it, I guess, but no more than that at this stage. Now, with his if you look at sort of his win record with Watford, he was 37% or somewhere on there. Based on the fixtures we have left, that's about 5 wins to go. If we're able to or he's able to replicate that with the squad that we have, throw in a couple of draws there, and we're thereabouts, but it's going to be tight. We'll be looking up for a little while and over our shoulders certainly throughout. I don't think we're going to have a miraculous turnaround and end up in 12th or something.
No.
It's going to be, somewhere between where we are now, 19th. I don't think we finished dead last necessarily, but it's possible relegation or maybe staying up on the last day on goal difference or something again, right? It's going to be tight. But there's a chance. There's a chance.
Is a chance now, right? Last year was that was at a point already against us.
Right. Yeah, because we're conceding 7 and 6, and goal difference is better this season.
What kind of a comment is that, Billo? We're the Titanic, and you three are playing the violins, dude. We're the lifeboats. Yeah. We're the ones that there's a couple. We're the ones that got on a boat.
Yeah, we're all saying the ship is sinking, man. We're just trying to look for
get the next boat.
I look, I was pretty hopeful as much as I could be. I just was so shocked. The past 2-3 weeks. I mean, how long has it been? I'm just like, we could move on with our lives. This managerial search, Jer. I mean, like it's probably you went from the transfer window, which is always like
say that. The
yeah.
last stream that we did on the transfer deadline, the three of us said, "Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be grand." We were so relaxed about it at that point, going, "Yeah, I think we've got enough to be fine. Yeah, be 12 to 14, it'll be fine. It'll be spectacular, but it'll be grand." Not even 4 weeks later, and we're like,
yeah, it really just fell apart.
It was so bad. And then from the Dutch guy, I don't even remember his name. I mean, it was a soap opera, daily soap opera. Things would change on Twitter within hours. And then the I don't know how the Sky Bet, the bookies always know what the heck's going on. They're getting tipped off. Yeah. And this place has got a lot of leaks. Things are getting leaked. It's just like crazy how these three guys or, plus can get stuff leaked.
I thought it was illegal to bet on your own club because the Schroeder the Schroeder odds went to suspended betting when he wasn't even on the list, and Javi Grazia appeared 2 days ago on the list and was pretty much fired yesterday. Yesterday was the talks.
Yeah.
So that's when all the information came out through Romano, who's been spoon fed by Rads, allegedly. Allegedly. But I can't remember my point now. Doesn't matter.
There was remember the famous McKinney tweet that Fabrizio had out that was like, the Radrazani was pushing hard for it or something like that to get it over the line. It's like, okay.
Yeah, right.
He's
been carrying Rads' water for a while. What a lot of stuff.
Someone in the club is putting money on these odds though for them to go as short as they're going before we know they're even there, which stinks of insider trading. I don't like the look of it. I don't.
Shout out to everybody in the comments. Duncan Hamilton, Disabled Team, Dow, 1024. We always talk about you, Dow. We talked about you offline. We think you're a very smart bloke or lady. I'm not sure.
He's a regular on The View as well.
Regular on The View. Bunch of regulars on The View. So thanks for watching Gier and then coming over and watching us. Tom is always a regular. I'm trying to think. Hopefully we'll have
Kimberly's a reg as well. And I just compared to the Disabled Team. I watched their stuff on YouTube as well, so it's really good.
Subscribe.
Great job as well. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Tom down. There was some comments. Kellyanne, you're always very insight. Kelly. Yep. Kimberly. So if I missed you, I'm sorry. If you're a regular, Ted, Paul, thank you all. Thank you. Smash a like on your way out. I'm hopeful. I guess I will admit that I am hopeful, and I think that we can stay up. But it's got to turn around. I think this guy should get it. I think this guy should get a clip me up. I think this guy should get Javi should get a shot in the championship. We should stick with him and have some consistency, and he should get familiar with the team in the U23s and all that. So
set a direction and stick with it. And don't fake yourself out into thinking that you're sticking with it when you're not. I mean, it just seems with the jump from Bielsa to Marsh, it just seemed to me like he was convinced that Marsh was the guy, and then he just made up a bunch of stuff to make it fit the narrative, as opposed to actually looking at the evidence and letting the evidence be the proof of what it is you're trying to do. You do it the other way around, right? It doesn't work like that.
I'm an American, and it seemed Marsh seemed like a gimmick. It seemed like, and I like Marsh. I think he's a great guy. I hope he kicks on. I hope he needs to evolve his coaching style. He needs to learn a few more people, but
you learn from losing, Alex. And I think that's, if he adapts his style based on what happened in the Premier League, I think he'll do okay. I think he should have taken the Southampton job when he had the chance, because I think he'll struggle to get a Premier League job again. And I think he might end up back in the MLS and have to restart again.
Well, that's the worry from the American perspective, is like, once you leave Europe, you don't get a chance back. And there's been a few managers that have been able to kind of tap into Europe and that's a cute pup, by the way.
She
Yeah.
wanted to come up. She's clawing at me.
Shrove Tuesday, guys. I gotta go make pancakes for the kids.
Shrove
Have an
Tuesday.
Have an excellent
The
evening.
Irish in him.
Have an excellent evening.
I do.
No.
Michael and Gier, I thank you. I'll see you on the thread, and I think you're going to do maybe a stream on Thursday, Gier, you said?
Maybe Friday. I'll see how the week
Thursday,
goes. I'll see
Friday.
if down Friday. I'll do something. Yeah. If you guys are around, you're more than welcome.
Follow Gier, Leeds United The View, at iGearLynch on Twitter. Michael, Leeds Faithful, at Maynard M, for all of his Twitter content. And he posted a beautiful, it was like a soup. My gosh.
Pumpkin, was it? Pumpkin?
His culinary.
Yeah, that was the roasted
Very
butternut
nice.
squash.
Oh,
I used to be
Looked
a chef
tasty.
like a long time ago. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I do post food stuff
Well,
every once in a while.
Throw it up. Throw some stuff
More.
up.
More food.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll do.
All right.
Smash the like
Thanks,
button for
everybody.
Murphy. Murphy says goodbye and good night.
Good night, Murphy.
Goodbye. Good night.
Hey, guys.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.